What have you done?
A bit of a sore point.
What have you done?
A bit of a sore point. I don't get hangovers.
Yes, that is a sore point. Because I do.
That's all.
Some hangovers sure kick my ass these days.
Not all the time.
No, not all the time. Only if I drink rum.
Rum doesn't give you a hangover.
No, I don't never get away with that.
Bourbon doesn't tend to give you a hangover.
No.
Good bourbon.
Good bourbons.
Cheap bourbon, yeah, maybe.
Well, I don't drink cheap bourbon.
No, you don't. You drink my bourbon. That's free. Well, almost free.
Oh,
Apart from the $20 in ingredients.
Makes a very nice bourbon. That's going to be a secret.
And this, well, it's a little bit cloudy as you can see. It's our porter.
It's nice.
It's not
It
quite-
looks bad, but it tastes nice.
It's not quite properly carbonated yet either. So it'll be soon, tomorrow.
I've got to say, it doesn't look the best, but it tastes.
It tastes like a real
Very
porter.
nice.
It's got that Vegemite.
Well, it's got the Vegemite, it's got chocolate, it's got black currants.
It's got coffee.
It's got, it just hits every...
Yeah. Hits all the notes.
It hits the sweet and the sour.
Yeah. Even on the nose, you're getting strong coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's no coffee in it.
No, it's really nice.
It's just grain. It's the chocolate malt and the carapils and those things that go into it.
But anyway, back to hangovers.
Oh, back to hangovers. Well, the reason I diverged onto this is because the first couple of pours of this
Yes, like mine.
came out very
Ordinary.
creamy. And it's because at the bottom of the keg, when it settled, so I fermented it in a keg, and then I transferred it to a keg, and the keg that I fermented it in, I'd cut that much off the bottom of the offtake tube, so that all of the yeast would settle down below that, but it looks like some of it got sucked up into the keg. So there was yeast in those first few pours.
What's that? That's pour number 4. So
Yeah,
we've got
yeah.
to pour number 4.
It's
and it's starting to
clearing
be
up.
nice. And
Yeah.
starting to look nice.
But that kind of diverged us onto another topic, which is the yeast that's in that has vitamin B in it. And that was a big thing when people were first, like when we go back, and I'm a big beer history buff, when we go back to the 1700s and people were making beer at home, or they were making ale at home, which is slightly different to beer, they would save the dregs, they'd ferment in the cask, and the dregs in the bottom of the cask, they would then put into things like stews. And there was a lot of nutrient in that.
Well, you do know what Vegemite comes from.
Yeah, Vegemite comes from yeast. It's a yeast extract.
It's actually the remains of brewing beer.
Yeah. That's the yeast extract.
Yes.
Yeah. So here's to Vegemite.
Here's to Vegemite.
Cheers.
Here's to vitamin B. Here's to no hangover tomorrow, preferably.
But it does beg the question, what do we think causes hangovers? There's a number of factors. I don't think it's going to be any one factor. A lot of people would say it's dehydration from drinking too much alcohol, and you're overstimulating your kidneys, you're weeing a lot. There is a lot of liquid coming in, but there's more liquid going out.
Yeah.
Especially if you drink spirits.
Yes. Oh no, spirit straight you don't. I haven't found when I'm drinking it straight.
You don't
I
wee a
don't.
lot?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Mm.
Whereas beer, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're taking a lot in. But that's the
And
old...
then that would say
Yeah,
the
the
same
old
thing is
theory-
because when you're drinking straight spirits, you're not drinking like you do beer.
Yeah.
You're not swilling it.
But the old theory was dehydration, and your brain is dehydrated and it's shrinking, and that's causing you a headache. I partly believe that, but I think there's a number of factors that
There's
go
lots
into a
of
headache.
factors, yeah.
So
Body build
yeah, body build.
is the number one.
I'm a little rounder
No,
than I
well,
used to
men.
be.
No, the other thing is because men have more
Men
muscle.
are bigger, they have more muscle mass, they have more
They
blood.
metabolize
Yeah.
it quicker than women.
Yeah.
So
And we do have a faster metabolism than women
Yeah.
as well.
yeah. And more muscle.
That's just fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can change. You can't can't change that. That's just nature.
Yeah. But the other thing that could be a factor is sleep. Alcohol disrupts your sleep patterns.
Big time.
And I know that if I wake up, even like if I'm not drinking, nights that I don't drink, if I've got a disrupted sleep pattern because I've got a sore shoulder or a sore neck or I'm lying the wrong way, I do wake up the next morning with a headache, almost a migraine. And disrupted sleep, I think, is a big thing to do with it.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
Like if you don't eat, like
Snoring.
a lot of people don't eat when they're drinking.
Yeah, snoring.
Number one.
That snoring when I've always been shocking on this is me and a mate of mine when I was at uni, we stayed back one holiday. This is in Armidale, and we go down to the pub after work, and we'd order beers, and we'd grab a bottle of port and a bottle of whiskey to go home with, and we would drink it that night.
Did you actually make it home with both of them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We made it home, but we would drink a bottle of port and a bottle of whiskey between us once we got home. And this is after beers. And I remember waking up all the time feeling like my throat was swollen, the back, where the bit that blocks off your nose when you swallow, that was just like a red raw.
Yeah, I think.
But I think snoring has a lot to do with it because it's interrupting your breathing pattern.
Well, I think most people who have a decent session on any sort of alcohol snores.
Yeah. Again, there's probably more to it than that.
There is. Yeah. I think there was a study done, right? I don't know whether anybody actually ever watched it. There was a study done a number of years ago by two doctors in England. I think it was called Alcohol. It showed on the BBC.
Vaguely remember it.
It was a really interesting study. It's
they got people to drink and they did various tests with them throughout the study. And
I think the one that I found most interesting was that they got different, like they got 4 males and 4 females, and all different body types, so skinny to larger people.
Yeah.
And they all drank the same amount of alcohol.
Yeah.
And
so it's drink for drink.
And to see how they're affected by the alcohol. And I think they found that obviously men with more muscle mass was affected less.
Yeah. But that's a fact, and we know that from the drink driving rules, which is women can drink 1 drink in the first hour and 1 drink every hour after that, whereas men can drink 2 standard drinks in the first hour and 1 drink every hour after that, and stay under the legal driving limit.
I think that could still be debatable and questioned.
It depends on your body type, on your fitness level, on your, they call it piss fitness, as in how much alcohol do you drink?
Yeah, well, yeah, because you don't drink very often.
Be careful, because there are people who can operate a vehicle when they're drunk, but it's still not legal. They might be perfectly capable.
Yes.
But their blood alcohol will still... Well, no, some people would be perfectly capable because the alcohol doesn't affect them as much as it does affect some other people. But you have to have a limit, and that's why
Do you think genetics would play a part?
Well, definitely, because certain natives of certain countries that haven't been exposed to alcohol, I'm thinking particularly about Aboriginals in Australia and Native Americans, weren't introduced to alcohol until Europeans arrived. So their tolerance for alcohol is a lot lower as a population. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know whether I buy into that argument, because...
I'm just saying as a total population.
Yeah.
Not on an individual basis.
Yeah, I still don't know whether... But you're saying the other population is the Native
Americans, yeah.
Native Americans, so the Indian tribes. I don't know.
They didn't brew alcohol. until they weren't introduced to alcohol until Europeans arrived.
Yeah, true.
But alcohol affects everyone individually.
Yes.
Affects everyone differently.
Yeah, yeah.
But there are rules in place.
There is.
And we don't...
But we digress again.
Yeah, we don't
because
want...
we were talking about what causes a hangover.
Yeah, but I suppose the point I want to make is that we don't want to encourage people to think, oh, I'm different. I can handle my alcohol better than anyone else, so I'm going to drive home tonight.
Well, no.
You need to be responsible with your drinking.
Yes.
And living out on the farm, where 15 k's to the nearest town.
Yeah, 20-minute drive.
Yeah. So for us to go into the pub for a couple of drinks, it is literally a couple of drinks. And then we drive home and we might get some takeaways and have a few drinks at home. But you've got to be responsible.
But mind you, we don't mind doing that because we have a really, really pretty area and we can have an open fire and it's quiet.
And people.
And there's no people.
Our nearest neighbour, I'm sure we've said it before, is nearly a kilometre away.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice being.
But again, we digress.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to, every video we do together, I'm going to have to put up a tangent counter, aren't I?
Yes. That's okay.
So hangovers. So we think it's partly dehydration. It's partly a lack of food. It's partly interrupted sleep patterns. It's partly potentially genetics.
Or bodybuild.
Well, bodybuild's another one.
5.
Sex.
Yes.
Not are you having any, but are you male or female?
Yeah. I just caught that one. I'm sorry.
I thought that one was going to hit the back wall for a second. What else? What other factors could there be?
Did we say food?
Yeah, we said food, eating.
Okay. Drinking too much.
Nobody in the comments can say the cause of hangovers is too much alcohol. We know that.
And sometimes we have more than others.
Yeah, but for some people, I mean, there are some people who do not suffer. I used to suffer chronic hangovers.
And now you have none.
But for the last 4 or 5 years, I get the occasional hangover.
Depends on what you drink.
It does depend on what I drink.
So when we start mixing drinks, I think you suffer more.
Yeah. If I start off on spirits, then I'm okay. If I go from beer to spirits, it's not a given, but it's that I think that's
definitely wine.
Oh no. Red wine, and I used to flat with a guy in New Zealand who couldn't drink red wine because of the preservatives they put in it.
I know. And that's a thing that I really find interesting is a lot of the micro craft breweries are brewing without preservatives.
Yeah.
So that'll be a change in, I guess, again, whether you're going to get a hangover.
Yeah, but they're brewing on, I mean, you look at the likes of Lion, and Cub, so the major breweries in Australia, they are brewing millions of litres a week. So they've got beer sitting out in the sun because they don't have warehousing for it. And you drive down the south coast, down at the Gold Coast.
The Gold Coast, you can see them.
And you go past the Great Northern Brewery, or you used to be able to see it before the trees grew up.
No, I think they've actually buildings in front now.
Okay.
When I went down there on the weekend, a couple of weeks ago.
But you see stacks and stacks of kegs just sitting out in the sun.
Yeah.
So in order to make that beer last, they've got to put preservatives into it.
Yeah, but are those stacks and stacks full or empty kegs? You don't know that.
I would assume there's a mixture.
I would assume they wouldn't do it at all.
Oh, I don't know. And if you work at Great Northern Brewery,
we'd like to know.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Are the kegs sitting out in your yard full or empty?
Yeah.
If we don't see anything down the bottom, I'm going to assume that they're full. Because they won't.
Well, I would assume they're empty.
Yeah. I'd assume that there's a mix because they don't have enough warehousing. Would
they not produce by demand?
No. big breweries are producing to stockpile because demand grows at the end of the year towards Christmas. So they're producing throughout the year to meet that Christmas demand. So they may or may not, I'm not saying they do or they don't, and I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on Great Northern
or any
brewery,
large brewery, yeah.
but they may or may not. It depends.
Well,
I'm having an each way bet here. They may or may not have enough warehousing to house all of the beer that they produce all year round. I'm certain that the first beer that comes off the lot is the first beer that goes out. I'm sure that their distribution is efficient enough to know that, okay, we take from here, then we take from here, then we take from here.
yeah, well, they would rotate it.
Yeah.
As in...
So that they don't have beer sitting there for 12 months because that's right at the far end of the lot.
Yeah.
I'm sure that
They have a proper rotation.
yeah.
Yeah.
But my assumption was always that there are way too many kegs out there for it to be...
I
to
would
be empty.
assume being we're in Queensland, which can get really hot,
Yeah.
that they wouldn't...
Yeah, but the preservatives they put into the beer, as well as the CO2 that's in the beer, is going to preserve it because it stops aerobic microbes from getting into the beer and spoiling it.
Yeah.
They can't survive in an oxygen-free environment.
Yeah, but would not the... So I'm assuming you said there's active ingredients in beer,
Yeah.
which means if it's sitting in a keg in the hot sun, we know like what the hot sun can cold, the temperature drops can do.
Oh yeah.
Would it not blow a few kegs or shrink a few kegs? Would there not be an issue with the pressure?
I not having worked in a commercial brewery, I don't know, and this is why I'm having an each-way bet because I don't know what their practices are.
Yeah, I would think that.
What's the tangent counter up to down the bottom?
Well, I would think that in the hot sun, like especially Queensland sun, it's 30 odd degrees.
Yeah.
Plus in summer,
Oh,
they've
and
got
in summer it
kegs
gets
sitting
into
out
the
there, and
high
I know
30s, which is, I don't know, 80s, high 80s and 90s in Fahrenheit.
in Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they're sitting out in the hot sun, full,
Yeah.
surely they would have a pressure issue.
Yeah.
Be interesting, to be driving along and see all these kegs blowing up. Sure. Well,
It goes back to my earliest days of home brewing, where my uncle was home brewing, and I was in probably a teenager, and he had boxes full of beer under the house, and he would overcarbonate them, and they'd go in the middle of the night.
well, we actually had that ourselves one night, didn't we?
Oh no!
We were lying in bed, and next thing we
was-
heard shh, like what is going on?
That was the Consequences Pale Ale that we've just kegged.
Yeah, that went off.
That was a very active ferment. That was the night that we put it down, and I'd forgotten to set the pressure to allow the gas to escape. So
Is that because we had too many beers?
probably. So the pressure relief valve thankfully stopped it from becoming a 30-litre bomb and emptying itself all over the laundry floor. And middle of the night, I think we had horses out the back here. We had Flame and Posier out the back in the house yard because we had to keep. Posy had just been gelded.
Yes, yeah.
And we had to keep him up in the house paddock, so we bought Flame, who's on the logo.
Yeah.
We bought him up
Fabulous Flame.
to keep him company. And in the middle of the night, we hear this, and I'm thinking, Jesus, what are the horses up to?
Yeah, we were a bit worried about what was going on with the horses.
I thought they'd bitten through like a water line or something like that. And it was the pumps going. But no, it was, and the tangent counter will be down there again. It was the beer letting its pressure off, the PRV doing its thing.
Your beer's looking much nicer.
It is. And it's tasting lovely.
The taste is incredible. Like, I really enjoy the taste.
So, prediction. Hangover or no hangover tomorrow?
What time is it? If I get my sleep.
Yeah.
No hangover.
I think that's a major thing. I think the amount you drink is obviously
I mean, you're going to have one, but if I have a good sleep, I'm fine the next day. You know, well, I'm not fine, but I'm not shattered.
Yeah, but it's a contributor. It's a contributor.
And we've
contribution. Yeah, of how much you drink, how much water. I do believe that if you drink water before you go to bed.
Yeah. Water, Panadol.
Take a couple of Panadol before you go to bed. Have a good meal. Get a good sleep, good night's sleep.
Yeah. You should be pretty okay.
If you don't go to bed until 1 or 2 in the morning, then you better sleep in until 8 or 9 the next day.
Yeah.
Because good night's sleep is a critical
But
part.
I still think that comes down to what you're drinking. Yeah. Because we've done sessions where we've been up to 1, 2 in the morning and got up the next day, but we weren't drinking. I remember like one time we were up that late and we got up and we were fine the next day.
Yeah.
And we only had like 5 or 6 hours sleep.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it
comes
down to food. We had food, we had
what you're drinking, how much you're drinking, over what period of time. Like, is it 10 standard drinks for the session, or is it 20 standard drinks for the session?
What helps with a hangover?
Yeah. Harvard University study.
The number one help for hangovers is the hair of a dog.
I trust Harvard. Remember back in the day when it used to be 3 eggs and Worcestershire sauce and a dash of tomato sauce?
No.
Oh my God, that was hot. That was horrendous. If you didn't throw up though, you would feel fine for the rest of the day.
Well, according to the research...
According to Harvard.
According to Harvard research,
yeah,
the number one hangover cure is the hair of a dog. And the reason being is that the notion...
You just stay pissed.
The notion is that the reason why you have a hangover is withdrawal from alcohol.
Oh, okay. So it's the withdrawal from the alcohol that's giving you the hangover, not the alcohol itself.
Apparently, according to Harvard.
Wow.
Dr.
Sciencing.
Yeah. So Dr. Swift says both alcohol and certain sedatives such as Valium intact with GABA, whatever that is. Oh, GABA receptors in the brain cells. Yeah. He explains is it's
not the cricket ground.
No, not the cricket ground. So, apparently hair of the dog is the number one cure for a hangover.
What's number 2?
Drink fluids.
Alcohol's a fluid.
Number 3 is to get some carbohydrates in your body. And you know, like me, I am the worst for carbohydrates the next day.
Yeah.
What's my go-to?
Chips, potatoes.
Well, my go-to is, if I can get it, is Cheezels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
wouldn't have thought there's a lot of carbohydrates in Cheezels. It's mostly cardboard dust.
I don't know, it tastes nice. The number 1 is...
Number 4?
Number 4 is avoid dark-coloured alcoholic beverages.
So whiskies?
Won't be drinking
No, I think they're talking about whiskies there.
It says, drink more clear liquids such as vodka and gin. Yeah. The main is something to do with the ethanol. Take a pain relief.
Well, here's another thing.
And drink coffee.
Distilled spirits, if it's a quality distilled spirit, then they take the foreshots and the heads and the tails out, and they just leave you with the hearts, which is that nice ethanol in the middle. Beer, beer still, like the yeast still produces methanol and esters and fusel oils, which are the things that give you the hangover. So methanol, yes dog, again,
out.
You want to be a video star. So beer, the yeast still produces those methanol and fusel oils that will give you a hangover. So beer is probably worse for you than distilled spirits, because a good quality distilled spirit like Bundy, like your good bourbons, like your Scottish, like your proper Scotches and your proper Irish whiskies,
and gins and vodkas. I mean, there's some decent gins and vodkas out there too.
Yeah, we'll take all of those bad things out of the alcohol for you. So you're just left with the ethanol.
So number 6, according to Harvard,
is
drink coffee or tea.
Ooh, okay, coffee in the morning. Well,
it
coffee
actually doesn't help you, but it gives you, it's a stimulant.
Yeah,
so
coffee won't sober you up.
No, it's a stimulant.
But it will help with the hangover.
And number 7, is vitamin B.
Barocca.
Vegemite.
BBBB. Barocca gives you back your BB bounce.
Well, Vegemite too.
Yeah.
And famous to Australians, so if anybody out there who's not Australian, who don't like Vegemite, then you're not Australian. Or, hang on a minute, shouldn't say that, because a lot of people don't like Vegemite.
Yeah, but they're not Australian. Well,
even Australians don't like Vegemite.
They weren't born in Australia. If you were born in Australia...
I think people who were brought up in our era, I don't think it's a...
Oh, my kids love it.
Yeah.
My kids love it as much as I do. Yeah.
But anyway, so apparently vitamin B, and hence why you get up in the morning if you're hungover. Guess what you have? Vegemite on toast.
Oh, Vegemite on toast with a poached egg on top.
Oh, yuck.
Is that just me?
No, that's because I can't eat eggs.
Oh, true.
So anything that's... Even though we've got...
And yet we own 4 chooks.
4 chooks.
That produce 4 eggs a day. Oh.
You're so pretty. You're so pretty. You're so pretty. You're so pretty. Oh, you are beautiful girl.
But I think we've spoken enough about hangovers.
Yeah.
We'll put... Send me that link, because I want to put that link in our blog post so that people can read that. Because it is Harvard.
It's Harvard research.
It is research. It's sciencing.
Yeah.
Sciencing.
And we do believe in science, don't we?
We do.
We actually, we do look into it and we review it and, we want to bring the best.
We want to brew better beer.
We want to brew better beer. We want to not give you hangovers.
Yeah.
So if you brew better beer, you won't get hangovers.
Oh, let's not make that claim. Like we said, it comes down to the amount and the fluid retention and eating and carbohydrates. And
actually, if you brew better beer, you're going to drink more. So.
Yeah. And we do. I mean, we prefer to drink the beer that we produce.
Yeah.
Than the beer that we buy.
Yeah.
Even though we buy some nice, we buy some nice beers.
Well, we have been now.
Yeah.
Lately, yeah.
Yeah. We've cut back on the bulk mass-produced beers,
yeah.
And focused on craft. And the next tasting video that's coming out isn't craft brewing so much as, I mean, it's these. It's dark beers.
Yeah, we're going to do dark beers. Yeah. It's winter.
Yeah, it's winter.
It's winter. So it's dark beer time.
You're cold.
No. Yes. Yeah, it's dark beer time. It's winter time. So
someone turned winter on.
It's I don't know why do we drink dark beers in winter? Well, I mean we don't. It's not a thing, but I think you generally get drawn to it more.
Yeah, I think it's from an Australian point of view. Yeah, from an Australian point of view. Because it does get, it's as cold as it gets here. I mean, let's face it. The coldest nights we will get here will reach 5 degrees Celsius.
And I just read another thing too.
Is this a tangent on the tangent?
This is a tangent, but this is a tangent too, is that we don't drink beer properly in Australia. You actually meant to let beer warm.
Yes. Not warm to room
not
temperature.
like not boiling hot, like
No.
Australian temperature hot,
No.
but to pull it straight out of the fridge and drink it, you're not meant to.
And we found that when we drank the ballistic hot chocolate.
Yes,
And this is probably
yummy.
the third or fourth video we've mentioned this in, so this is a good beer.
It is a good beer.
Yeah. But we let that come up maybe a couple of degrees, maybe 4 or 5 degrees above the fridge temperature. And we did enjoy it a lot more.
But it was even, and I think too, and I haven't noticed this, maybe it's something I will look at more often, is that, you do tasting palates, tasting paddles. By the time you get to the last one, you're generally going, well, that's very nice.
And
because it's actually warmed.
And we went to Hip Hops.
We went to Hip Hops, did the same thing.
On Sunday.
We let the dark one warm, and it was beautiful.
We tasted 4 beers, and by the time we got to their hot chocolate stout,
it was nice.
their chili coffee stout.
Oh, yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah, it was. You just gotta I think you have to let dark beers just sit it a little bit. You can't just chuck it out, bring it out of the fridge and drink.
But when you think about the history of beer,
they didn't have refrigeration.
Yeah, it wasn't. Well, refrigeration was it's cold outside. It wasn't. We're going to throw a block of. It wasn't even a block of ice in a like they used to do in Australia.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
So if you go to the Northern Territory, if you can't down your beer in like a mouthful, it's hot.
Yeah. That's why they drink predominantly, even though they produce the Darwin Stubby, which is 2 litres of beer.
Yeah.
They drink from 7s, the 7-ounce glass, which is
because
even
it
smaller.
hot.
It's smaller than a midi.
It's like what?
Yeah. Because if you leave it sitting, and they don't drink jugs, because a jug sitting on a table will warm up.
Yeah. So fun facts.
Yeah. Yep.
Isn't that funny? Like, because when you look at different areas in Australia, because we have everything here.
Yeah.
So we have the super cold down in Tassie and that. And then we have
they get snow.
hot up here.
They get snow down in the New South Wales Alps, the Victorian Alps, down around the Cossie.
You know what we have to do? We have to do a road trip, because I reckon that depending on where the craft brewery is will depend on what they brew, because number one, it'll be easier because, as you said, the yeasts and the yeast,
like I said
hot or cold.
in a previous video, people in Townsville will tell us they can brew lagers. But I can guarantee
I wouldn't say guarantee, that's pretty...
Almost guarantee that they won't be as good as the lagers they brew in Tassie.
Yeah.
Tassie, because of the cold climate, is ideal for brewing lagers.
We need a road trip.
Yeah.
I reckon we need a road trip.
When are we going to fit it in?
Soon.
Yeah.
We should just start our local.
Well, we're doing a big road trip soon.
Yeah.
We're flying halfway across the
Well,
world.
it's not a road trip.
Well, it is, because we're flying into one city, we're hopping on a bus and driving across country.
So stay tuned for that, because we will bring you some honky tonk bars and some craft beers from America.
I want to go to a chicken wire bar.
Yeah, we'll try some American craft beers.
Beautiful.
And bring that to you, hopefully. No, we will. We definitely will bring some American craft beers.
Well, it's the old joke, and I think it probably applies because I have consumed quality American beers, which was, I think it's called Goose.
You're not gonna bad name American beers.
No, the Goose Island. I think it's called Goose Island IPA that I had when I was over in Vegas was one of the best IPAs that I've tasted in my life. It was Goose Island or Goose something. Goose, I remember.
We'll find out for you.
Yeah, but your standard beers like your Buds and your
Mass-produced
Millers
beers.
is like making love in a canoe. It's fucking close to water.
I was going to say fun. Thinking making love in a beer would be. Making love in a canoe would be fun.
A bit awkward.
That'd be fun.
No, they are. I mean, they produce weaker beers for their market.
I think you'd be a bit. I would be. I don't know whether I would make that claim.
Okay, so the big beer CEOs of the world are meeting.
Mass produced.
Cheap, they're meeting.
Cheap mass.
Meeting in the US, and at the end of the meeting, they all go downstairs for a beer, and the CEO of Miller's orders a Miller's Light. The CEO of Bud orders a Bud Light.
Dad joke coming.
The CEO of Guinness orders a Coke. The CEOs of the two other companies turn to him and say, "Why have you ordered a Coke?" And he says, "Well, you're not drinking beer, so why should I?"
Dad joke. I think our girls need to go to bed.
But as far as hangovers go, I think we've spoken.
We're not experts, so it's our opinion. So we would like to know your opinion on what causes a hangover.
Yep.
What is your best hangover cure?
Yeah.
And the top 3 answers as voted by you. So we're going to put out a voting system.
A poll. We'll figure out how to do a poll.
The top 3 will get a free stubby cooler.
There's only 2 there.
I know. But we'll give you a stubby cooler.
Or as they call them in the US, because we do have some US viewers, a koozie.
Koozie, yes. So, jump in on and tell us.
Yeah.
Like we want to hear from you.
So let's wrap it up there.
Yeah.
I think we've rabbited on enough for one episode.
You need to enjoy it. Next time we post, I reckon you need to grab a beer or 2 and
sit down and
join us.
Because we enjoy a beer or 2 while we do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So as we always ask, like, comment and subscribe because it helps the channel out. Check us out on social media. We've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok.
You forgot YouTube.
We're on YouTube. And a podcast.
Oh, we do, yes.
Yes.
Check out the podcast.
Yeah. Or unless you're listening to the podcast.
True.
Yeah.
But he does do different stuff in his podcast as well.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes you won't catch on YouTube, but you'll catch in the podcast. So you definitely have to listen to the podcast as well.
Drink responsibly.
Absolutely.
And we need to investigate more words that mean cheers in different languages.
We do. Hey, I think there could be another 3 stubby killers.
Yeah. In the meantime, slancha.
Good night.